What's up, everybody? Welcome back to my channel. There is a reason I don't do that at the beginning of every video. I don't have the personality to pull that off. Anyways, piggy mirror, piggy mirror, piggy box set. We're here. We're gonna talk about the Shane and Jeffree collaboration, the whole conspiracy collection. I don't know how, and I certainly don't know why, but Shane Dawson put me onto his PR list. And I've known about that since about August. He reached out to me and asked for my address. So I've known about it for a while. I haven't really said anything. I wasn't told that it's a secret, so some people have known, but I never put it in a video because, I don't know, it just didn't seem appropriate somehow. I don't know. I'm new to this whole PR thing, and it also just didn't seem real. So here we are. Launch day was today. Sure enough, big pink box arrived today, and in it is the entire collection. So I just first of all want to say a huge thank you to Shane Dawson, who has just been nothing but kind to me. I did a video after I had my surgery. He had sent me flowers. It was just, he's so thoughtful and so kind, and to reach out to somebody with a channel of my size, I just think is incredible. To include a clip of me in one of his videos in the series blew my mind. It's just been such a whole surreal ride ever since he first tweeted out in July that I was one of his favorites. You have no idea how much I just find that unfathomable. But here we are. Anyways, you're not here to listen to me ramble on about this stuff. You're here to see the makeup. So let's dive straight into it. I have to apologize in advance. My eye is running and this lash may have to come off at some point because my eye is just not happy about it. I've worked a full day. I've worked an insanely busy week, but I had to sit down and play with this as soon as I saw it on my doorstep. So here we are. All right. So you saw the piggy mirror. It is just utterly adorable. It is honestly the cutest thing. When I first saw this in the videos and the pictures, I was like, I have to have the piggy mirror. And I didn't think it was going to be included in the PR package, but here it is. And I love it. It's adorable. All right, moving on from there, let's talk really quickly about just a couple of the lip products. You can see I have the lip kit in the back there. We'll get into that. But I don't think I was even aware that there was a lip balm, but there is a lip balm, and this one is called Diet Shane, and it's just a clear lip balm. It's quite comfortable on the lips, and it smells like it smells like root beer. I guess diet root beer, but it still smells very clearly of root beer. Also, on my lips right now, Shane Glossin, the clear gloss. Honestly, this is the kind of thing that I would have bought just for the name because I think that's adorable. This one as well smells like straight up root beer. I have some of Jeffree's liquid lipsticks already, and I know they're supposed to smell like root beer and they don't quite get there, but this one, I even stuck it under my daughter's nose and she's like, that smells like root beer. So they nailed it with the smell. It is a very comfortable gloss and obviously clear. There's no mentholated feel to it. It doesn't tingle, it doesn't burn. It's just a very smooth, comfortable gloss. Obviously, it doesn't have any pigmentation, so I can't talk about whether or not it's patchy. You see it on my mouth, it's shiny, it's comfortable, it's not slipping around, it's not sticky at all. Very, very comfortable. I haven't tried any of Jeffree's other glosses, so I can't say whether or not they're the same formula, but this formula to me is a winner, very comfortable. I like it. Okay, I'm gonna set those to aside because they're not the stars of the show. So for the stars of the show, we have the Mini Controversy palette, and of course, the Conspiracy palette. And let's just talk a second about the packaging because personally, I love it. I really, really think that they nailed it with the packaging. I love the little iridescent strips that catch the light, and I like that it's got that like staticky kind of TV thing. There's what the outer packaging looks like. Very understated, but still very on point. And then the shades inside are here. The only shade that crosses over between this palette and the larger one is the one in the middle called Diet Root Beer. And I think it's a good shade choice because it does complement all the other shades that are in both of the palettes. This is the palette that I have on this side, with the exception of the yellow in the middle, which comes from the Conspiracy palette. Now the packaging in this is very reminiscent of Blood Sugar in that it has like the little trunk casing holdings here. This one is raised up a bit. As you can see, it's got that like pyramid shape. It's been a long week, I can't speak. And then of course the big triangle at the top here. The outer packaging for this palette is very minimalistic. I mean, you have that big swirl, but you don't have any of the branding or anything. That is reserved for the back. But this box is nice and flat. So if you're concerned about storage or stacking things, you could just keep this housed in the box, and then you have the ability to stack flat on top of it if you choose to. The clasps are functional, so they lift up, and then the palette opens. There is a mirror, and then the shades right in there. I personally really like the shade selection in here because I think it's very versatile. I think it's the kind of palette that I can use day to day as I'm going to work, but there's also some fun, brighter colors and some deeper shades as well to play around with. So I think it's very versatile in that sense. My only suggestion would have been pairing the yellow in with the blues of the Mini Controversy palette, because I think that those two play off each other very, very nicely. And maybe, not the purple, but maybe this shade over in this palette would have been a good exchange for the two. The yellow just looks, as pretty as it is, it just looks a little bit out of place in this palette as far as I'm concerned. It's not a major complaint, but if I could have chosen to switch the two, those are the two that I would have exchanged for each other. Obviously, this video is just a first impressions. I've only done these two eye looks, so I haven't had a chance to play around with all of the shades in here and see how they perform. But what I can say from the ones that I have used are that they remind me very much of the shadows that are in, say, the Jawbreaker or the Blood Sugar palette. They're very consistent with that same formula. The mattes are very pigmented. They blend very nicely. You do have to tap off the excess because they do kick up a bit in the pan, but it's nothing uncontrollable and it's nothing that's really off-putting. The color payoff is there. I was really impressed with this shade here called Pigment. You'll see me apply that. I really, because it's basically a pastel pink, I thought that it would be one of those ones that you really kind of have to layer up, but I didn't even have to dip back into that pan. One sort of application and blending out was all I needed, and it had full impact. So I'm really impressed with that. The shimmers look beautiful even if they're not foiled, but once you do foil them with some setting spray, it really just kicks it up to that next level. And again, there's not a ton of like fallout at all with those. There's no like chunks of glitter in it. They're just beautifully metallic shades. So I do look forward to playing around with the rest of them. I had a really hard time deciding what I wanted to do for this video because I just wanted to play with all of them, but obviously I only have two eyes. So I am looking forward to creating more looks with this and just playing with it some more. So it's probably going to be featured in some future videos as a pretty safe bet. So what I'm going to do is swatches of the eyeshadows for you, and then we're going to go right into the eyeshadow application. Then we'll come back and play around with the lipsticks. So here we go. Flat Earth, Cry on My Couch, My Boyfriend's Purse, Controversy, Diet Root Beer, My Apology, possibly my favorite shade in this palette, Exposed, Cancelled, this is a tight second to this one, and the simulation. Ranch, My Pills, Tanacon, Diet Root Beer, Just a Theory, Spiraling. Conspiracy, Pigment, Food Videos, Trisha, Cheese Dust, Flaming Hot. I think this is my favorite row in the palette. What's the Tea? Diet Cola, Not a Fact, Sleep Paralysis, Illuminati, My Rides Here. Using this. So I'm just going to get started. We're going to dip into Pigment, which is that lighter pink shade, and I'm going to throw that into the crease and blend. And already I'm impressed with the pigmentation. Like, okay then, away we go. All right, now I'm going to go into Not a Fact here, and I'm going to run that along the crease and into the inner and outer portion of my lid as well. I'm just going to blend the edge of that Not a Fact shade with a bit more of the pigment shade, with a slightly denser brush. I'm going to pick up some of the shade Sleep Paralysis just on my finger and tap that onto the center of my lid. And then pick up just a little bit more of Not a Fact and soften out the edges of that. Just so that I can add another shade in here and try it out, I'm going to put Illuminati here under my lower lash line after I stab myself in the eye. Pleasant. For an inner corner highlight, I'm going to use the shade Ranch up here. Okay, now I'm going to switch over to the mini palette, so we're going to just have a mismatched eye look going on, and that's okay. But we're going to use the mini on this eye. And those blues are calling my name, so I want to incorporate those for sure. So I'm going to put the shade Flat Earth as a transition shade, if I can find a relatively clean brush in which to do so. There we go. Apropos, it's one of the 420 brushes from Beautylish. I think Jeffree would be proud. All right. Okay, now I'm going to go in with the shade Cancelled here and run that through the crease. I'm going to use the shade My Boyfriend's Purse on the inner portion of my lid. It's pretty as is, but I want to kick it up a little bit by foiling it with some setting spray. If I could aim and actually hit the brush. And then for the rest of my lid, I'm going to use this shade down here called the Simulation. And again, I'm going to use some setting spray on that one because it does have a bit of a sheen to it. For my lower lash line, I'm going to use the shade here called Controversy. And I'm going to blend that purple out with the shade down here called Exposed. It's a little more pigmented than I was expecting. Okay. I could put more of that My Boyfriend's Purse shade as an inner corner highlight, but I really need to use the yellow from the Conspiracy palette. Like I really need to use it today or I'm just gonna feel unsatisfied. So I need to use food videos right here. And honestly, I think this would go really well with the blues. So here's hoping. I'm just going to use a light hand with that and leave it as is because there's a lot of color going on there. So, okay, we're going to leave it like that. Last but not least is the lipstick set. And can we just take a moment to appreciate just how effing adorable it is? Because that's some seriously cute packaging right there. And when I watched the series, I thought that like this was just a cardboard box, but it's actually that same artificial leather that's on the outside of the Blood Sugar palette. So this is like a pretty high-end piggy over here, and I think he's going to be on display in the background for the foreseeable future at any rate. Inside there are 6 full-size lipsticks. 3 of them have a metallic finish, 3 of them are matte. I will probably do a full lip swatch video on Instagram at some point, but I have the feeling that this video is already getting very long, so I'm just going to do some hand swatches and then we're gonna wrap it up. So, first up is the shade Shane. Let's see how these ones smell. Definitely smell like root beer. Slightly aggressive root beer, like there's a little hint of chemical that the gloss is missing, but you can definitely tell that it is root beer. Okay, let's just put them along here. So obviously you can see that's just one swipe. I'm not a very good arm swatcher. If you've watched my videos for any time, you know that. There, I've just smoothed it out a bit. This is a shade that I think I'm gonna have to play around with. It is definitely outside of my comfort zone. It's like a deep bronze kind of color. It's the right time of year for it. I'm just not entirely convinced that I can pull it off, but I'll play around with it and see whether or not I can get myself a little bit more acclimated to it. Next up is the shade Are You Filming? And this is a nice bright red. That is definitely my kind of color. It's like a strawberry red, nice and vibrant, just beautiful classic red. Next up is the shade Ryland, and again it has that metallic finish as you can see. It's a very pale pink. I don't detect any like duochrome shift or anything like that in there. I'm not entirely sure that that's going to be a super flattering shade on me. I am going to have to play around with it, but it is a very pretty color. I'm just not convinced that it's the color for me, but we'll see. Next up is another metallic shade, and this is I Gotta Go. I watched the series with Barry, my husband, and we would just sort of laugh every time Shane said, I gotta go pee, because first of all, that's so me. but it just also became a bit of a running gag, and I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but it was funny nonetheless. So there it is there. It's almost like a copper penny kind of color, but not quite as strong. Of the metallics, this is the one that I gravitate towards the most. I think it's very pretty and again, very seasonally appropriate this time of year. So I am a fan of that one. The next one is Jeffree, what the fuck? And first of all, love the shade name. Second of all, love the color. This is a nice, bright, deep pink with the matte finish. And it, oh God, I suck at arm swatches. I absolutely suck at arm swatches. Gotta extend it this way. I always forget that my arm rotates. There we go. It is gorgeous. This is a shade that I will definitely get a ton of wear out of. Last but not least is the shade Oh My God, and this is a very pale pink. I am not certain that I have the stones to pull off this kind of color. It's a very, very pretty pink, just outside of my comfort zone. There it is. So again, like I said, I do plan on doing a lip swatch video coming up fairly soon on my Instagram. So if you're not following me there, feel free to join. I do have it linked down below in the description box so you can easily find me. And other than that, I'm going to wrap it up here. I don't have a lot of thoughts to give, obviously, because it's just arrived. I'm very excited for Shane. I gravitate towards him. I do think that he's just got this pure heart. I know some people are of the opinion that he has no background in makeup and really doesn't, I don't know, deserve this collection. I disagree with that. I think he's thrown himself into it. I think he could have just slapped his name on it and it would have sold. Like, his name alone could have sold this, but I do think that he put a lot of thought into this and a lot of effort into it. And I'm very excited for him. I know it's sold out in a hot second. I have no doubt that they will restock. I obviously have no idea when that will happen, but I'm very happy for him. And I am just blown away by the fact that I received this all in a PR package. I am just so grateful. And I do try, when I do reviews, I do try to find critiques and try to make it as balanced as possible. And here there's really not a lot for me to say that I would improve upon. Like I said, I would switch those two shades in the two palettes, the like reddish burgundy shade for the bright yellow, flip them around. The packaging, like I said, there is a workaround if you just keep it in its outer packaging so that it is more easily storable. It is bulky. That doesn't necessarily bother me, but I know some people will have concerns about that. I like the addition of the mini palette. I just like mini palettes in general. I like 9-pan palettes. I think, Luna, you can come in. The door is open. We're making eye contact. What's the deal? I took you to pee like half an hour ago. Come on in here. Anyways, I find that 9 pans, it's enough that there is versatility, but it's not so much that it's overwhelming. So that's kind of my sweet spot. Like 9 to maybe 15 pans, 14, kind of my sweet spot. 18, I start to get a little overwhelmed. Obviously that's what we have in here. But I really do like the layout of the rows. I find that it makes it a bit more approachable. Like, you have a very neutral row here. You've got a lot more of your pops of colors across here, and then your deeper sort of shades over here, with the exception of the one on the end. I find that this is just easier for my own way of thinking to sort of group the colors for me. So I really do like the layout of it. I find that it makes it just that much more approachable. In terms of the lips, of course, I haven't tried them yet with the exception of the gloss, which I quite like. I can feel that it has definitely worn off as I've been talking while filming, so it's certainly not going to be a long wearing thing. But with a clear gloss, you really don't have to worry about just touching it up on the fly. You don't even need a mirror, just slap it on and away you go, easy peasy. The products in here, the liquid lipsticks, obviously they're going to be a bit more fussy if they do wear off. My experience with Jeffree Star lip products is that they are fairly long lasting. I want to say maybe in that 3 to 4 hour mark, and then you're going to want to ideally remove it all and then reapply fresh, but you can build them up and they don't get super crumbly on top of themselves. So there's that. Packaging, A's across the board as far as I'm concerned. Piggy mirror, freaking adorable. And now I'm just gonna dive into that area where I just start repeating myself. So gonna cut it short here. If you managed to get your hands on anything, what did you order? If you didn't, and now you're starting to see these videos come out and other people's pictures, are you intrigued? Is there anything that you have your eye on if they do or when they do restock? I'd love to know your thoughts on the collaboration in general. It seems to be, I don't want to use the word polarizing. I don't think it's quite to that extreme, but I know some people are rather apathetic towards it. Some people are totally gung-ho. I'd love to hear your thoughts. We can all have a little discussion of it down below in the comments. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Thank you, Shane Dawson, for sending me such a generous package. I truly appreciate it. I will see you guys in my next video, and until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.